All right, let's get to the draft. Teams that need a strong September. Chris, I got a trivia question for you. There are two teams that do not have a win in September in the last two seasons. Name one of those teams.
Ooh, gosh. It's not Jacksonville. I'm going to go with the Jets.
Correct. The Jets and the Broncos.
The Broncos,
no
wow.
September wins for the Broncos. All right, Chris, you win. First pick goes to you. Teams that need a strong September.
All right, I'm going to go with one that, hey, listen, it's close to my heart, but I think it's real. I mean, I do. I'm going to go with the New York Giants. I think they're one of those teams that needs a strong September. We know that, the Joe Judge hiring last year, a little controversial. It's a huge year for Daniel Jones. People always on David Gettleman and all of those type of things. Like, I feel like they're a team that needs to get off to a good start to get some confidence on the offensive side of the ball, especially with their quarterback, and win some games that way. Daniel Jones, Jason Garrett, second year of that offense, everything there. People talking about paying too much money for Kenny Golladay, all of those type of things. They're a team that just needs to get some wins and get some confidence and momentum going like we talk about. So I'll take the Giants first.
Yeah, I agree with you in that respect. And as we mentioned last hour, there's a report that the Broncos will visit the Giants to start the season. If they don't have Aaron Rodgers, easier game for the Giants to win. If they do have Aaron Rodgers, if he gets traded to Denver, which I think is still a less than 20% chance, and that may be a little bit too high of happening, then if it does happen, much harder to win. All right, I'm going to start with the Jaguars, team we spent a lot of time talking about last hour. You've got a new coach who needs players to buy in, and it's going to be a challenge for Urban Meyer. And Urban Meyer may lose twice as many games in a month than he'd lose in a season at Ohio State. And I know he's done the mental gymnastics, and when you lose a game in college, one loss completely destroys your season, and maybe you can lose 2 games at most. But once you lose that second game, you're not going to win the national championship, and the walls are caving in on you, and the pressure is immense. You got to win every week. Get back to me after you go 0-4 to start your NFL career. Because once those losses start to pile up and you're fighting harder to get the guys in the locker room to hold it together. And you've talked in the past, Chris, about the stress, how it increases after 0-2, 0-3, the pressure, the anxiety, everything to get that win. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And this is the guy we've seen. We've seen this guy cave under intense pressure before. He needs to get some wins out of the gates. He needs to get people in that building to buy into what he's doing, and they need these young players to come out of the gates and build some confidence.
Yeah.
Because if they can, then they can build more confidence as the season unfolds.
Yeah, no, I think they're a team I had written down for sure. All the angles you talked about. I mean, yeah, it's a college coach who's, probably selling a different bill of goods as compared to maybe other coaches in the NFL, all that. Trevor Lawrence angle, you want to get him off on a good start. Yeah, get everything positive vibes there in Jacksonville. I'm with you all the way. I mean, listen, my next pick is going to be a team that you just brought up. I mean, I forgot that they were going to play the team I drafted first, but the Broncos are the other team I look at. Yeah, I mean, again, we just talked about in the trivia, they haven't won a game in September in 2 years. Vic Fangio, it is that third year now where it's like, okay, where's the improvement of the team? What's gonna be better? Can we show it on the field? The roster looks better. We've seen inklings of looking better, but now it's time to get it done. And there's questions about Drew Lock and that issue there. A lot of people in Denver mad that the Broncos weren't more serious about drafting a quarterback in the top 10 and everything like that. So I look at them as one of those teams to where September can really dictate the year for them. If they go 1-3, I don't know if they have the leadership or anything like that to kind of fight through it and come back. But if they can go in through it 2-2, 3-1, then like you've just talked about with Jacksonville, you get guys that start to believe, and there's a common goal, and it just the momentum builds in a building, and that's very real. So I'm going to go with the Broncos.
Chris, here's the other side of it too. You got a new GM with a holdover head coach.
That too, no doubt.
And Vic Fangio, if he has a bad year, then there's going to be a new coach in Denver next year because George Payton is going to want to hire his own guy. Fangio is going to have to earn the job beyond 2021. And if you have a bad September, it's going to be difficult to do. And it's a very difficult conference or division and conference, but especially the division. I'm going to stay in the conference and go to a different division. I'm going to say the Pittsburgh Steelers. When they go all in, bring back Ben.
Yeah.
Here we go. We got to run the ball. We got to show we can come out and do what we did last year. They went 11-0 last year. You can't go 2-2 in September, the year after you went 11-0, and expect to be better. You need to come out of the gates and establish that, yes, Ben still has it, that, yes, Najee Harris was the right pick in round one, that, yes, the offensive line is working. And we know one of the realities of having reduced offseason workouts, reduced training camp intensity. It takes some time for the offensive line to get to where it's going to be. The Steelers need to crack that code. They need to hack that process. They need to get the offense moving, and they need to count on their defense to do well enough to get those wins in September so they can carry the momentum into October and November, because this is the all-in one last year with Ben. We think we have a chance to win the Super Bowl season for the Steelers. What they do or don't do in September is going to be critical to how that plays out, Chris.
Right. Well, I just was told that they're playing the Bills week 1, so that's going to be a tough game in Buffalo. So they got a good chance to start 0-1 right there. But either way, that's going to be a fun game to watch week 1, definitely. Yeah, good pick by you, though. No doubt. It's a big year for them and Big Ben and the new formula as far as how they want to play on offense and everything like that. So I totally understand that. I'm like torn here between I'm not gonna pick the Jets. There's a lot of newness there. Yeah, we want them to get off to a good start, but I don't think the pressure's on them. I'm torn between like Vegas and Cincy a little bit. I'm gonna go with Cincinnati here in this one. Cincinnati is a team, again, got to get some hope at the first half of the season one of these years. And that hasn't happened in the Zach Taylor era yet. I mean, it's 4-11-1 last year, 2-14 the year before, and basically a sense that, hey, we're out of this thing by week 5 or 6 the last 2 years. And now you got Joe Burrow, who got hurt, so that the coaches kind of get blamed for that. Like, oh, you guys didn't protect him. The roster does have some names on there and some players now to where you go, okay, we expect some better results here in Cincinnati. I look at them as a team that's, needs a favorable schedule. Got to have something positive happen to kind of jumpstart that momentum there in Cincinnati, because I do think that's one of those places where if it's a bad September, people are going to start jumping on the backs of all those people in Cincinnati.
Pete says that the Bengals host the Vikings to start the season.
Oh,
they play at the Vikings. The Bengals host the Vikings. Yes.
Okay.
Pete's back to what he originally said.
All right.
Host
I
the
hope
Vikings,
Joe Burrow can play. I hope he can play.
Peter, you sure they host the Vikings? Peter, you sure they host the Vikings? Can we check one more time? Okay. You gave me an idea there that I may not. I've got my list.
I know.
And not on
the Raiders
list
one.
Is
you
the Raiders
right? I know.
Yeah, but we've been saying it for weeks now.
Yeah.
It's put up or shut up time.
Yeah.
3 years for John Gruden. No playoff appearances. They can't just stagger out of the gates. They got to come out and kick ass. They got to go 3-1 or better in September. I don't know, Pete. Do they play at the Bengals week 1?
Oh no, they're hosting the Vikings too. Poor Pete, he's got to deal with us all the time. But I agree with you.
But yeah, they've got to do it. They've got to get off to a big start.
Right.
They've got to.
Right. I mean, we still question, right? I mean, we're questioning a lot of things there. Oddly enough, we're not questioning the quarterback. That's good. But, I mean, the O-line, that's got people, questioning that, all the things that went on in the offseason. The receivers and the talk that, Mike Meyer has talked about. Henry Ruggs has got to be better. Some of these young guys got to start coming, rising to the top, and the same with the defensive side of the ball. So I do think this is a year, like you're right, people are going to be looking at Vegas pretty tightly.
By the way, there's only 3 games in September this year, unless you play the Thursday night game in week 4, which is September 30. But I generally refer to it as the first 4 games of the season. I mention that because I seriously considered the Patriots as a team that needs to have a strong September, because there's just this sense of desperation and urgency. There's a report from Bleacher Report that the Patriots and the Buccaneers play week 4.
Ooh, week 4
That's
to
when-
start
that's
October
when-
or maybe Thursday.
That's when
yeah.
the lightning strikes. Could be Thursday night. I have a
Right.
feeling they're not going to put it on a Thursday night. I have a feeling it's going to be a 4:25 or a Sunday night game. It's going to be one of the biggest games of the year. So, what we've heard in the past from Bill Belichick, and as we study the Patriots, it does take them some time to get up to speed.
I want to
I
see
think I
fans
asked
for
Tom
that
Curran.
game too.
I think I asked Tom Curran a couple of weeks ago, would the Patriots be better off with that game late in the year or early in the year? What do you think? Is it better week 4 or 14
I think
for the
it's
Patriots?
I think it's better to just get it out of the way and get done with it and not have it always like, oh, Brady's coming to town. What are we going to do? What's the reaction going to be like? The organization's probably going to do something and show a video on, they're going to honor him in some way too. I think that would be one you'd be better off kind of getting it out of the way early on in the season. And back to like our crowd point we talked about, just like that's a game where, damn, do you want to see fans? I mean, that might be weird. I mean, literally, Brady might throw a touchdown for the Bucs and the stadium might cheer. They might be like, yes, boo defense, but yes. Like, how did you let him throw that? But yes, Brady. Like, it really, I think it'd be a very interesting dynamic in that stadium that night. They're not going to boo Brady.
Massachusetts.
He might be able to lower the crowd in a 2-minute drill and literally, like, be quiet, and they might listen on the opposing team's quarterback. I mean, I really would love to see what they'll do.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.